If anything characterizes the First World War, it is the endless trenches that stretched from the Swiss Alps to the Belgian North Sea coast. From the fall of 1914 to the spring of 1918, the front in the west froze. At least seemingly. Both the Entente and the German Empire tried to overcome the coastly stalemate. The British and French constructed tanks to break through the German positions. The Germans, on the other hand, relied on a new infantry tactic, the so-called Stßtrupptaktik. In 1915, the Prussian War Ministry formed an experimental Sturm-Bataillone assault unit from pioneer units. This Sturm-Bataillone tested new tactics, weapons and equipment. This included the steel helmet, which replaced the Pickelhaube from 1916. After the Sturm-Bataillone suffered heavy losses, Captain Willy Rohr took command of the unit. This eventually became the Sturm-Bataillone Rohr in 1916. The unit consisted of several pioneer companies, a machine gun company and a mortar company. The Sturm-Bataillone Rohr also had a flamethrower platoon and an infantry gun battery. The assault troops of the assault battalions differed from the regular infantrymen in their specialized equipment. They were equipped with mountain boots and mountain breeches with leather inserts on the knees and buttocks. As the hand grenade was the most important weapon of the shock troops, it was carried in large numbers. The hand grenade bags slung around the shoulder were used for this purpose. Certainly the most distinctive feature of the assault troops. The trench dagger, which was shorter and easier to handle than the conventional bayonet, was also very popular. To save space, the ammunition for the firearm was often stowed in the uniform pockets. Assault battalions also carried the long engineer entrenching kit. This included either a spade, a crossbow, an axe, or a wire cutter. They could not only be used to remove enemy obstacles, but also to block trench sections and fortify conquered positions. The high potential of this elite unit quickly became apparent, but what was probably even more important than its numerous missions was its function as a training unit. From mid-1916, Willy Rohr's men trained numerous other units of the German army. These in turn gave rise to new assault battalions. By 1918, 18 regular assault formations had been established. Of these, 17 had the status of a battalion, one assault formation. The 13th Assault Company was somewhat smaller. It was absorbed into Assault Battalion number 12 in March 1918. The 18th Assault Battalion was also only one company until August 1918. The 9th and 12th Assault Battalions were disbanded in the course of 1918. As a rule, assault battalions consisted of a staff, 2 assault companies, a machine gun company and a mortar company. Occasionally, however, they also had a flamethrower platoon and an infantry gun section. The number of assault companies could also vary. One of these assault battalions was directly subordinate to each army high command. In addition, numerous divisions and regiments set up irregular assault formations. The Ausbildungsvorschrift für die Fußtruppen im Kriege, AWF, or Training Regulations for Foot Troops in War, provide us with information about the operational principles of the assault battalions. It states, the task of the assault battalion is to support infantry attacks, especially in positional combat. They are to utilize the experience gained and find new ways and means to improve close combat. They are also training troops and make the experience available to all units in training courses. This experience was given form with the term Stßtrupptaktik or shock troop tactic. This shock troop tactic meant that the attack on the enemy's positional system was no longer carried out by broad waves of infantry, but by small, well-trained and equipped squads that were to support each other in the advance. The focus was no longer on the broad capture of the enemy trench, but on its rapid penetration. Assault battalions served as a spearhead in this procedure. Supported by regular infantry units, they were to penetrate deep into the enemy's positions. One of the most famous shock troop soldiers was Ernst Jünger, who wrote about his war experiences in several books. The most famous of these is certainly In Stahlgewittern, Storm of Steel. However, Jünger did not belong to any of the regular assault battalions, but was a soldier in a Hanoverian infantry regiment. The tactics tested by the assault battalions were also internalized by the regular infantry units. The training regulations for foot troops in war state, all non-commissioned officer and enlisted men are to be trained for use in shock troops. However, for special operations, namely in positional combat, digging out posts, taking away Sepper's head, blockhouses, etc., it may be expedient to assemble shock troops from particularly suitable teams on a case-by-case basis. Flexibility was the key word here. Every mission posed different challenges for the shock troop leader. His arsenal was therefore quite extensive. Depending on the scope and nature of the task, engineers, machine guns, grenade launchers and flamethrowers can be assigned to the assault troops. Support by mortars and artillery must always be considered, as well as the use of communication equipment, signaling dogs, carrier pigeons, wireless telegraphs, telephones, and incandescent spotlights. The development away from the ordinary mass soldier absorbed into the army as a whole towards the specialized, individually perceived shock troop soldier is an interesting contradiction in the general perception of the First World War. Ralf Raths traces this development in his work and summarizes, even if the platoon was still formally prominent, the main emphasis at the end of the war was undoubtedly on the group as a carrier of combat operations. Even the individual gunner was at times addressed as the elementary tactical carrier of the battle. Instead of bolt action rifles and carrier pigeons, today's infantrymen have assault rifles and radios at their disposal. However, the core of the shock troop tactics developed by Willy Rohr remains the same. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. All sources and references can be found in the video's description. Thank you for your attention and see you soon.